Who is the villain in Spider-Man: A Brand New Day? I feel like that's a question that I've been asking, but like a lot of other people who have been looking at the trailers for this movie have also been asking as well. And it is very interesting because looking at this movie and the cast of just like characters and villains that they have in this movie, it's kind of it's kind of hard to tell because if you just look at the recent trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day, there are a plethora of different villains. I mean, for one, you have the Hand. I think at the beginning of the trailer, you have Scorpion. Scorpion's gonna play a role in this movie. I mean, supposedly, Sadie Sink's character, if it's true, she's supposed to be playing Jean Grey. Now, whether or not she's a antagonist for the film, I have no idea. The way that the trailer kind of presents it, it kind of seems like she's gonna be a form of an antagonist or something like that, and probably she's gonna be like an antagonist at the beginning, but then she's gonna, reveal that she's actually Jean Grey and that she's, not a bad guy, and she has her reasons for why she's doing what she's doing. But yeah, Scorpion, the Hand, possibly Jean Grey, and then you also have the Hulk in this movie, and the Hulk is not, obviously he's not a villain in this movie, but he is going to be another form of antagonist, I guess. He's probably being mind controlled or something. I don't know what it's going to be, but obviously in the trailer we see Spider-Man and the Hulk, and they're like, fighting, and so there is some reason to why that's happening. But yeah, I mean, the Hand, I talked about the Hand. Obviously you have that prison fight with Spider-Man and the Hand, which looks awesome, but I don't think any of those, I don't think Scorpion, I don't think the Hand, I don't think Scorpion, I don't think none of those are the main villain. I think those characters, those villains, are working for a particular character in this film. Now, we haven't seen this character in any of the trailers or any of the promotional material for this movie yet, but he has been casted in this movie, and I forget the actor's name for this. Yeah, Marvin Jones the Third, I believe that's the actor's name. He was casted as Tombstone for this movie, and we have not seen that character in any of the trailers at all for this movie. And the only things that we've seen so far from Tombstone is, I believe, one leaked image that got leaked, I think, before even like any of the actual trailers for the movie came out. And also I think we have two like maybe leaked promotional images, or like, I don't know if they're like from the actual movie or it's like something that was like leaked. I'm not sure, but like you have two images of him, I think on like a newspaper or on some like not bulletin board, but like some board with like I think it's like maybe Spider-Man's crime, like, board where like he's got all these new newspapers like taped together, like everything, and he's trying to like figure out like who Tombstone is, and like is like, is he running a lot of the things that's happening in the city. And that is my assumption. I believe Tombstone, the reason why we haven't seen Tombstone in any of these trailers or anything, is that he is probably the main villain of this movie. He's probably the person running he's probably the person behind all the things that are happening. Maybe probably the Hand could be possibly working for him. I do believe that the Scorpion is probably working for Tombstone. Sadie Sink's character, I have no idea. I feel like that's more up in the air. I feel like Sadie Sink's character could be attached maybe to something that Tombstone is involved with. I'm not really sure how her character comes into play necessarily in this movie. But yeah, I mean, Tombstone being like the villain in this movie makes sense, especially after I think it was like said recently, and I could be wrong on this, but I think it was said recently that Tombstone could very be like the overarching villain for the next, you know, 2 Spider-Man movies that we're eventually gonna get. And I could see that, mainly because, you know, if you look at like the direction that they're trying to take these Spider-Man movies, and they're trying to make this a more street level Spider-Man movie, and everything, it definitely makes sense to have Tombstone as one of those main villains. You know, he's a big, you know, crime boss in New York City. Kind of akin to, like, you know, a character like Kingpin, a character like that. You know, Spider-Man, when we talk about street level like Spider-Man villains, I think of like Kingpin, you know, Tombstone, those characters, just like straight up like crime bosses that Spider-Man has to deal with. And so yeah, I can see Tombstone being like the overarching, I don't know, for like, I can see him, it'd be very interesting because there are a lot of villains in this movie. I mean, we have so many villains. I could see Tombstone not even really making an appearance in this movie, really, and just being like, maybe he's a character that shows up at the end and he's like, hey, I'm the person who's been like running all this stuff behind the scenes, and like maybe he's set up for the next movie, maybe he's the main villain for the next movie. I don't know, but yeah, I do think it is really interesting that he has not been shown in any of the trailers yet. Okay, another character slash main villain that could be, I guess, in this movie is the Jackal. Now, when it comes to the Jackal, I know little to like nothing about this character. Like, I know like a lot of Spider-Man villains, but like when it comes to like the Jackal, that is definitely a blind spot for me. And apparently people were saying his character is being played by Keith David, and apparently Keith David was the person who was narrating the first trailer for the Spider-Man, or I guess, yeah, the first trailer for the movie. And yeah, I have no idea. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize when people were talking about like Keith David, like I thought that the person narrating the first trailer might have been Tombstone. That was my guess, but people are now saying that it's Keith David and that he could be playing the Jackal. Yeah, apparently in the comic books, the Jackal is like a master geneticist, and like apparently he was like created after like the death of Gwen Stacy, and then like he blamed Spider-Man for Gwen Stacy's death, and so he wanted to get revenge on him. That was like the stuff that I was reading about, like in like the comic books and stuff like that. But other than that, like it could tie into like the whole mutating thing that's going on, especially with Peter. Like he's getting like organic webbings and everything, and his like DNA is like mutating and becoming like different and everything, and so I could see that possibly being a thing. I'm not like I said, I'm not familiar with the Jackal character, and so I couldn't really delve into why this character could make an appearance in the movie, but that could be interesting. Okay, so the last, I guess, it's not even well, it is a character, but it's not like a traditional main villain or villain or anything like that. I feel like, especially with like what Peter is dealing with in this movie, the fact that like he is alone, he has no allies, he has no friends, he is all alone trying to be Spider-Man and everything, and he's basically depressed. Like, let's be honest, like Spider-Man in this movie, he looks like he's depressed, down on his luck, but he's still trying to, you know, be a hero and be Spider-Man. That's classic Spider-Man thing. But I feel like they could really delve into, you know, the idea of male loneliness. I couldn't say that word. But I feel like they could really delve deep into the idea of, you know, Peter being alone and how that affects him, and how, you know, he can't, you know, talk or confide into his actual friends, and MJ, who used to be like his girlfriend, and now he has to like deal with the fact that like MJ is like seeing other people, and like how does that affect him and everything. And so I feel like this movie could really dive into like, because I think even Tom Holland said in an interview recently that, like, yeah, one of the core things about this movie is like the idea of, like, you know, being alone and being depressed, and how that can affect you mentally, and how the idea of that, like, you can't do everything by yourself. You can't be alone. Like, being alone, you know, might have like some, you know, pros and strengths to it, but at the end of the day, you need people. You need people around you to lift you up and really inspire you and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I feel like this movie is gonna be tackling like a lot of different things, man. A lot of different, you know, I mean, just villains, but yeah, just like the idea of, you know, Peter's depression and everything, and him being a superhero despite that. And so, yeah, the freaking Tombstone, Jackal, possibly. My opinion, in my opinion, I do think Tombstone is going to be the villain for, or I guess the overarching main villain, but I can see a possibility for like the Jackal and everything like that. But yeah, in the comments down below, who do you think the main villain in Spider-Man Brand New Day is? Do you think it's any of the characters that I listed, or do you think it's a completely different character that I did not talk about in this video? Leave all your comments down in the comment sections below. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.